I'm Mary Houle. I'm a longtime gardener and Richmond resident here, Richmond, Vermont. Vermont is a solid zone 4. There are some areas that you can get a zone 5, definitely not a zone 6, but as it relates to what you plant and when you plant it, that's very important because that keys into first and last dates of frost. Okay, today we're going to talk about fall fruit dehydrating. So let's get started. The information I'm going to show you and give you today is kind of generic. There are some things that are specific, but I'll show you some of the results of things that I've dehydrated. This is a result of, they're very large raisins, but these were grapes that I bought on sale for 99 cents. It took a long time to dehydrate them, but you will never have a better tasting raisin in your life other than one that you would dehydrate yourself. Now, because these are very large as raisins, but when they were obviously large as grapes, I put them on this sheet. This is my Excalibur dehydrator. It is a 9-shelf unit, and it has variable temperature control. It comes with the trays, it comes with the mesh, and you buy separately silicone ridged liners in case you're doing something liquid or if you want to make a fruit leather. They're very, very helpful for that process. So when you would set something up, we've already shown you what it looks like to have your finished product, which are the grapes and the raisins. Again, best you'll ever have. Another thing that I dehydrate, these are sweet peppers. These are the sweet peppers in the sliced form, and this is what they look like when I've diced them up. They're a powder, and I have desiccant packs to keep them somewhat malleable. I'll just pour a little bit of this out in my hand. This is what it looks like when I've dehydrated the peppers. Then I put them in my high-speed Vitamix blender, and what it does, it takes this is kind of difficult to chew on, and before I would use this, I would either use this in a soup or a stew, or I would put it in my Vitamix blender, which is high speed, and make it into that powder, and that powder can go into pretty much anything. This has to be reconstituted in a soup or a stew. It's still very tasty, but just the idea that it takes a lot of time to get from this where it's considered to be palatable. I mean, it's tasty, but it's much easier to chew on if it's just in the powder form. So that's what you would do. Dehydrate the peppers, cut them into strips, put them on this. Each dehydrator tells you on its information panel the setting, the temperature, and the length of time that it takes to dehydrate. It might vary a little bit, like if you don't slice your red peppers thinly, it might take a little bit longer than what it's recommended. This is an example of, I dried some, I think these are acorn squash seeds. I know they're squash seeds, but I dehydrated these on high for about 8 hours, and they came out toasted. So to me, that's worth it. It's not a bad project to do. If you're scooping out the seeds to make some sort of a squash side dish, might as well save the seeds. I do not save squash seeds typically, or ever in fact, for growing again, because the pollinators mix up all the seeds, so you'll never get the same seed you'll never get the same squash from the seeds that come out of it. Word to the wise. And this is another example of something that you can dry, and I don't know if the camera can pick this up, but this is purple, and this is anise. It is an herb. It's in the mint family. It smells like licorice, and in the dried form, again, I picked it early enough so that it still retained its color. And as it's purple, you can use it in baking. I would crumple it up so that the flower buds fall off, like these little tiny buds here, and put it into some dish that you were baking. Or if you were doing fruit salad, it's nice to have a hint of licorice in there. Again, I've got a desiccant pack. Once I dried the herb, I wanted to make sure that no moisture snuck in, because moisture will be the death of all your herbs, but it will also make you very, very angry. You've done all this work, and a little bit of moisture sneaking in can ruin whatever you put into your work. So the next thing I'm going to do is show you what it looks like after these are dehydrated. These are apple slices, and these are last season's. I haven't started doing this season's, but I don't always use everything up. So what you typically do is, obviously, you cut the apple, you core it, you cut it into slices, and then you set it on your dehydrator sheet. They can be pretty close because as they dry, they shrink right up or down. And typically an apple will take about 24 hours, again, depending upon how thick your slices are. This is what it looks like on the Excalibur. If these were the raw apples that I hadn't dehydrated, I'd put them a lot closer together. You can just chuck it full. This is one of the shelves from my Nesco dehydrator. This one isn't my favorite, but I had 6 of these at one time, and I would have them going in different areas. Obviously, you have to watch out the circuits in the house, but I would have them in different areas, and I would be drying different things. The Nesco only had 6 trays, whereas the Big Deal Excalibur has 9 trays. So I would do the same thing with these. I would line my apples up on the tray, and this would take a little bit longer than the Excalibur because where all the heat and all the airflow goes across each tray in this, as they're stacked, it comes up from the bottom. So the bottom would cure the fastest, and then I would just turn it off, rearrange the trays, and let them continue to dry. And once dry, you scoop them off, but you have to, they're going to be a little gummy because after all, they're apples. They're not going to be, let's see, they're not going to be, there's a process that's used, freeze drying. They're not going to be freeze dried. A freeze dryer is very expensive, and it also takes a boatload of power. Unless you're doing something that you're going to be selling, this is suitable for home. You can chop these up, you can rehydrate these, you can use these in cooking. You can actually make applesauce after the fact. That way you don't have the heaviness of the cans around. So the other thing you want to do is when items like mushrooms are on sale, I'll open this pack. I got this one on sale, which is great. And I would use this one on the Excalibur. You can use it on any kind of a dehydrator that you have, but these are kind of thick, and these might take 18 hours to dehydrate. But once they're dehydrated, again, I will put them in my high-speed Vitamix and make them into mushroom powder so that when you're getting something on sale, and say, oh, I'd like to get 3 or 4 packages. Well, put them through your dehydrator. You can cook them if you want and then put them on, but you need a silicone liner because once they've been cooked, they tend to be there tend to be a lot of liquid in them. So about 18 hours with these. And again, I didn't bring any example of the mushroom powder, but it's going to look a lot like the powder that we get from the green peppers, except it's going to be brown. And what a flavor enhancer. The dehydration on the Excalibur tends to toast the mushroom a little bit. So it's kind of, it's an increased flavor enhancer. It's like the umami flavor that you might hear about from time to time. So let's see, other things that you can dehydrate. I don't tend to do the wild grapes because those seeds are pretty big inside, and it's never worth the effort to take the seeds out. So I personally limit it to mushrooms, peppers. I do slice up some squash really, really thin. In the summertime, when the summer squash is extremely abundant, I'll slice that in, like you would slice a cucumber into slices, put it on the dehydrator tray, and that takes about 12 to 14 hours. And again, depends upon how thick you slice it. Then I will put it in a jar again, seal it, and I will put a desiccant pack in it to keep it malleable. And I could either put it in the high-speed blender and make a powder, because it makes an excellent, essentially no-calorie thickener, or it also is a mild flavor enhancer. But it will thicken up a soup or a stew quite nicely. And I recommend trying at least one. You can also air dry things. I've had less success air drying because the critters tend to get at the stuff before I can say, okay, it's adequately harvested or adequately dried. But it's certainly worth trying. If you've never done it before, you can certainly look things up online. Each land grant state has a land grant college, and in that college is an extension service, and it helps you with gardening. It also helps with things like this, the harvest. And in Vermont, you would call the UVM Master Gardener Helpline. And they have a number that's available, 802-656-5421. Now, it's a recorded line. You leave your question, and somebody from the Master Gardener Helpline will get back to you. It's not going to be the same day usually because we're all volunteers that work on that program. Well, that's it for today's episode. That's it for today. Happy gardening. Thank you.